What is up, guys? It's your boy Sham Shocker coming at you with another video, but today we're doing something a little different. Today we are doing a game review. Today we are going to be reviewing the game RAFT. It is a co-op survival game that takes place on a huge ocean where you just float around on a raft and just collect pieces of scrap out of the ocean to basically build onto your raft and make what the developers call a floating mansion. One of the features I really love about this game is the method of collecting materials. It's a really cool process, and it's unique, and I haven't really seen anything like it in another survival game before. What you do is you take a plastic hook and you throw it out into the ocean, and then you reel it back in to collect things like wood, plastic, scrap, and other stuff to build onto your raft. Now, it's kind of like a mini game in itself because how far you cast it out, the accuracy of your throw, and the way you reel it back in gets you more scrap. So it really just kind of adds a layer to the survival game, so the point where collecting materials isn't really as boring as it has been in other survival games. It's more of a little mini game in itself. Another huge shining point in this game is definitely the co-op capability. The game is just completely different when you bring your friend into it, and it's super easy too. All you have to do is just invite them on Steam, and next thing you know, they're in your world. And it's a really cool process because you go from just playing by yourself and using your own resources to bringing in a friend and having to share those resources, and it really adds a new layer to the game, and it also lets you share a lot of experiences that the game has to offer with a few buddies, which is just always great. I love to see that in games. One thing you definitely have to keep in mind with this game is that it is in fact Steam Early Access. You're gonna have some glitches, you're gonna have some little issues here and there, but really I'm surprised by how polished the game is for being early access. There's not many issues. The only issue I ever ran into was when I was playing with Tomater, and I died on the boat, and every time he picked me up and tried to lay me on the boat, my player model would just like no clip right through the raft, and eventually it caused us to die. So I mean, that's not a big deal, especially since it's an easy respawn, but I would have been a lot more salty about it if we were playing like hardcore mode, which is where like if you die you don't come back to life. So that could use a little work, I guess. There's just a few little bugs that could be ironed out, but really it's a really well polished game, especially for Steam Early Access. One of the things you are sure to encounter in this game, more than other games definitely, is ocean. There's just going to be water all around you at all times because you're out in the middle of the ocean on a raft. And you're going to want that water to look good, and I gotta say, the developers did an incredible job on the water. The water is dynamic, it moves with the weather, so it's going to go up and down depending on if it's storming or how the tide is set, and the water is going to come over like the planks of your ship. Like, it really adds a lot of dynamics to the game, and it makes you really feel like you're actually on a raft. And the water also in itself looks fantastic. It's got that deep blue. It looks great on the sun. It looks great when the sun is setting. It looks great at night. And when you're underwater, it's terrifying, just as the water should be when you're out in the middle of the ocean. When you're underwater and there's no ground, it's dark, it's freaky, and it really makes you not want to dive down there. So it's the water. They just killed the water. And another interesting thing to mention here is this game was developed by 3 developers, and the fact that that's the case is just baffling to me. Like, it's such a big game, it's such an impressive game, and the fact that only 3 guys made a game like this that honestly could be like its own standalone, maybe even console title eventually someday. It's surprising. I mean, it's really impressive. And of course they did get published by another studio, which is bigger, but I mean, the core development was by 3 dudes, and that is on its own level just amazing. As in any other survival game, crafting is essential, and RAFT, I would say, killed it. They did a great job. The interface is super simple, super easy. You don't have to have any of the crafting recipes memorized. They're just there waiting for you in the top left of the screen, and you just need to have the materials to craft them anywhere you want. But the thing that adds a layer to the crafting that I think is a really good move is a research table, and it basically makes it so that in order to craft new things, you have to first research the materials that go into them, which I think adds a sense of realism to it, and also makes it a bit more, it makes crafting feel like more of a progression than just how much do you know and do you have the materials to make it. It's more like, you know, what can I learn in the future and how do I learn it? And I think that just adds a lot to the game. It adds another element to crafting, and it just adds to the overall complexity, and I really like to see it. Progression in this game is also kind of unique in itself as well, where really you just craft to make your life easier in the game and make survival easier. There are at least 2 items that you can craft, the water purifier and like the medium grill or whatever, that just makes surviving much easier, especially the water purifier. You basically don't even have to be concerned about drinking water anymore. And those elements that you work towards to craft really just, it makes your life easier. You know, survival turns more into just like, it doesn't turn into a survival, it's kind of eventually turns into, as my buddy Tomater said, who I played this game with, he said it kind of turns into a RAFT simulator, because you don't really focus as much on your survival aspects because it's just so easy at a certain point in the game, and that's what you're working towards. You just want to make it as easy as possible, that way you can build on and eventually get to like the final elements of the game and the final content. One problem that I have about this game is that it's just not enough, you know, and that's a really good complaint to have about a game. And especially since it's early access, of course these developers are going to add more to it, they're going to make the game better, they're going to expand on it, but like my buddy Tomater and I, we finished the game within 2 days. We played it for 2 days and it was done, and when we finished we were actually surprised that we got to the end. We were thinking it was going to be like we would be out there like surviving for 365 days on a raft, but no, it was we finished the game, at least the content that the game has to offer, within 37 in-game days. And it was kind of sad to get to that point, because you work on the raft all the way to that point and then you make it to the end of the game and it's like, you know, this is it, you know, it's over. And we would definitely want there to be more to it, more like added on to make the game a little bit more of a full experience. My last complaint about the game would definitely have to be that it's not hard enough. It's not a very difficult game to play. It's decently easy. It's difficult within the first 2 to 3 days when you're trying to figure the environment out, but as you progress and survival gets easier, it just kind of gets a little bit, you know, relaxed and chill, and you focus more on building your boat. And you don't really have that much of a threat of dying later on in the game, but there is a giant shark swimming around your raft, which is a huge gameplay mechanic that I really like. I like the idea of it, but the problem is he's not tough enough. He doesn't keep you tethered to the raft as much as he should. I often found myself just swimming out into open water to grab scrap because the shark was literally not that dangerous. He can take 2 to 3 bites out of you and you're going to be fine. Especially if you have a wooden spear or something and you stab him once, he's going to screw off for a pretty good amount of time. So it's really not that much of a threat. The shark is just there, and really he's more of a nuisance than anything. He just chews on your boat, breaks your boat up, he just tears pieces off of it, and it sucks. It really does, but it's not really a threat. It's just more of a nuisance, and it just slows progression. Considering the fact that this game is in Steam Early Access and that it was developed by only 3 people, I would definitely give it an 8 out of 10. It was a really fun experience. I had a lot of fun playing it. It had a lot of interesting new mechanics that I haven't seen in other survival games. It was a cool experience, and I loved the co-op feature. Getting to play with a friend it just made the game 100% better. It did have its drawbacks where, you know, it's not long enough and it's not that hard of a game, and it can get some glitches here and there every once in a while, but overall it's a really great game, and those drawbacks are easy to look past, and they're honestly going to be fixed in the future, because remember, this is Steam Early Access and they're going to work on it and they're going to make it better. I'm sure they're going to add to it, they're going to make the game longer, and it's just gonna, I see a lot of potential for this game, and I'm really looking forward to playing it in the future. That does it for the first review on the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to leave a like and subscribe to join the Sham Squad today. And if you want to see more reviews, comment that you want more reviews down below, and I'll definitely do more. These are really fun to make, and it's really cool looking at games on a more critical side. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.